On today's episode of Gathering the Kings,
I had a huge churn. Like people
Yeah.
just come and go, come and go, come and go.
Yeah.
And that hinders your growth. You're constantly hiring new people with no experience, and that stops you. It wasn't until I started like doing this once a month. Let's get together. Let's go bowling. Let's go and have a carne asada together when it's summer, right?
Yeah.
These things bring your family. People want to feel part of something, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Someone's vision. You treat them well. You celebrate their wins. Nobody has left after that. Really, it was person with me. There's actually people want to work. Like, yeah, I want to work with you, and that's what you want. Attract people who want to work with you, and it's all about culture.
You are listening to Gathering the Kings with Chaz Wolfe, featuring fellow 7, 8, and even 9-figure business owners who have real battle scars from business and life, but have prevailed as the king that they are designed to be. We welcome high-performing entrepreneurs to the stage in order to reveal the real of the real on what it takes to build a successful business today. We dissect the good and bad decisions they've made along the way that give a true and accurate picture of the journey of success and how you too can get there. Through this dialogue, you will learn the value of growing your network and surrounding yourself with power players and kings like today's guest. Grab your pen and notebook because we're about to dive in.
What's up, everybody? I'm Chaz Wolfe, Gathering the Kings podcast. We got Cristobal Mondragon here on the King stage. My brother, how you doing?
I'm so excited, Chaz. Really been waiting for a long time to see you. When I was mentioning, it's been a few months when I was contacted by the team, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely interested. I'm like, oh, it's until January, so it's been like a long 4 months, and glad we're here.
That's awesome, man. We were talking about that before we hit the recording button, and you're right. It does feel a little weird that you would schedule a podcast 4 months in advance, but when there's incredible guests and you're right, my team is good at either connecting or finding, or they find us, and we've got a pretty streamlined process to make sure we're bringing the best of the best. So here you are.
Yes, I'm super excited, Chaz. So yeah, it couldn't be a more excited than today. So looking forward. Yes.
Good. Well, you've got a couple different businesses. I want you to take a couple seconds here. Tell us what kind of businesses that you have.
Yeah, so I have two businesses. The main one is my cleaning business. My wife and I started the business in 2015, more like a side hustle, really.
Yeah.
And it turned into a business, and it just kept growing and growing.
Right.
And so we're on our 8th year. And last year, I was interviewing a YouTube channel, very random, was not expecting it. And there's a YouTube channel say, hey, we would like to learn more about your cleaning company. So I share some tips and tricks how I operate my business. Yeah. That video went a little bit viral. Next thing you know, there's people calling me from all over the country that own cleaning businesses like, hey, I heard of the word automation. I heard virtual assistants, all these things that were like, were like very common. I'm like, don't have, and I'm like, okay.
How are you doing it without it?
And I'm like, I'm going to put a course together, and because I didn't want to be having one-on-ones. Yeah. And that course turned into, hey, we want more information because I don't know how to put the dots together. So like, what about coaching? And so that's what we're currently doing. Essentially, we help. Initially, I started helping just other cleaning business owners with automations, customer acquisition, and hiring virtual assistants to keep the cost low. But that turned into, there's people who up-and-comers, new people, and never done a business before. And I'm like, that's when the coaching program came about. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to create a coaching program that can really help you from the beginning stages all the way to really have an automated business.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, so you're in places doing cleaning, and you built teams and automations around that, and then now you're teaching other cleaning companies to do the same, and you've got courses work and coaching around that, which I just love because it's the heart of a coach. It's the heart of a teacher, right? Like, I did it for myself, but why would I keep all the secrets? And it sounds like you were giving them away way before you started charging, which is also another indicator of a king, man. Like, you give, right? And then eventually value people start knocking down the door going, hey, no, I need to pay you for this.
It comes back around by itself. It really, you hit the nail on the coffin. Because I was here, like I work from home, and this is a funny story. So this YouTube channel contacted me back in March of 2021. And at the time I was really working just with my head down on my cleaning business because I had recently lost a restaurant 2 years before, and so I was like, I'm just gonna focus on cleaning business, get out of the whole, like, for myself and just ignore all the distractions. And then I get an email say, hey, we would like to interview you. We saw you online and I want to see if you would like to share your story. And I said no, because I was so focused. I said, thank you for the opportunity, but I'm really busy and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I was still doing actually the cleanings myself with my wife. We had a team already, but I was still part of the field workers.
Yeah.
And I'm working now, and then around lunchtime when I'm eating my lunch, when I'm like, you know what? Let me respond back to them. Something might come out good out of this interview.
Yeah.
So I respond back to them and say, hey, you know what? I changed my mind. I don't want to get interviewed. And guess what? Crickets. They don't respond anymore. And I'm like,
oh, you missed the boat.
Missed the boat. So months go by. This is March, August of 21. I'm here just working from home and answering the phone calls, whatnot. And I see a Jeep pull up in my driveway, and I'm like, who are these people? Yeah. So I come out, and like, hey, my name is Paul from this channel, blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm here to do the interview. I'm like right now?
Wow.
And I'm like, well, I should wear the company uniform or something. I was not expecting. So that YouTube video, it was pretty, I think that's what made it very viral. I was pretty genuine. I was not expecting it. They're starting asking me questions, and I'll just spill the beans. Like, if anyone out there is, pay attention to that free YouTube interview I gave. I give a lot of free game, like really good one. And that's what people got into, like, wow, if this guy is giving all this free game, if I pay him, like, maybe he can
give me next level.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that there's a mindset, and we'll move on to your story here, but you're making such a great point. I want to make it clear to the listener. There's tons of free value. YouTube, as you mentioned, you can find pretty much anything that you need. And even for someone like myself who curates environments that people pay for, right? With a mastermind group, and I've done sales coaching, and I do team training and personality assessments and all kinds of fun stuff that we charge for. And the reality is that you give enough away for free. You can give it all away for free, but people still want you, or they want the connection, or they want the network. There's always another level to go to, because you can give the X's and the O's in a course all day long.
Absolutely.
But then, like, how they go implement it, or the accountability to implementation, or perspective to implementation. There's so many things that come up, even if you have the script verbatim. There's just so many other things that come up. So there's absolute value in what you're doing. And I would say for any coaching program out there, like, if it's not a matter of pay to play because there's like these doors and hidden and making money, it's like, no. Like, there's just different levels of think. And you want to get into a room where people are willing to pay a certain amount of money to think at a certain level. Would you agree with that?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
That's good, man. All right. Well, so let's go back into your story a little bit. You kind of mentioned a little bit, you lost another business, bankruptcy. Like, you've got a little bit already, kind of an attention grabbing story. Tell us a little bit about that, how you actually ended up starting the cleaning company.
This is a crazy story. I keep it very short, but essentially I moved here to the States from Mexico in 2004. Working in restaurants for the most part at the beginning. I didn't know the language, so it was fairly easy to me to go to a Mexican restaurant and work in a kitchen. Made my way up, became a chef a few years later, and after that I went to a car dealer looking for an extra job, and they're like, hey, do you speak Spanish? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, we'll actually need a salesman. I'm like, I don't know. Like, that sounds scary. And he's like, no, we'll teach you. And I'm like, okay, very hesitant dealership, and one of those beginner looks that I guess everybody has when they're starting something. And I make a set, and the manager is like, you know how much you made? And I'm like, how much? He's like, $800. And I'm like, you kidding me? Like, that is like the entire week of the restaurant. So like, forget the restaurant business. I'm gonna focus on sales. Yeah. So start working on selling car dealer. When you have two languages, you certainly have an advantage of you sell more people. And so that was really good salary, medical, dental, all you name it, working from a computer. And then my wife, she's at home, gets a job with a cleaning company. And it was very so. She's the first one to actually to kind of saw the opportunity. She came to me for a week. She's like, Chris, we're having dinner. And she's like, Chris, this company's getting a lot of jobs left and right. It's not hard. It's cleaning. We can do this. And I'm like, no, that sounds very cute, but it's not going to happen. Yeah. But she planted the seed though. Yeah. And so for the next days, I'm at the dealership kind of like thinking the idea like, well, maybe I don't have to leave my job. I can start building this as a side hustle. Yeah. And I thought if she can make $2,000-$3,000 a month on her own, why not?
Yeah.
So I started posting. At the time, didn't know any marketing or anything. But what the dealer used to do heavily back in 2012, it was posting cars on Craigslist. So it was one of my jobs, is just posting cars and cars. I will take the calls, make pre-qualifications, and then send them to the other salespeople. And so I'm like, I wonder if Craigslist works for a cleaning business. So all I need to do, so I tried it, and people started. And of course, I made some mistakes. I didn't know how to price it correctly. I didn't know how to do that.
You
And,
paid some people to clean their house? Is that what you said?
the first job is so funny. We did a move out, and I charged the lady $100. I remember that. Lady, she was coming from Idaho, moving to town, and she arrives, and my wife, she was by herself, so she didn't have any help. She didn't finish the house on time. The lady's like freaking out, which she didn't pay us, left her very first bad review. And I was like, oh, what a great start, the setbacks. And I remember I was upset. I was like, man, maybe this is way out of our heads. Let's just, but my wife was like, no, that's just a one-time thing. I'm going to get help and we'll get it done. I'm like, okay. So we got her best friend, which eventually was her first employee. So this is January, right? Making some mistakes and whatnot. I still, the business is under the table, cash, personal checks. It's not a formal business.
Yeah.
But I know I'm getting more and more calls because I'm the person taking the calls. By March, I remember I started putting things in a spreadsheet. I didn't have a software, CRM, nothing. But I was creating the invoices on a spreadsheet. So I go in and see like, how much have we made? Because I knew we were pretty busy, like $20,000 by March 31st, 2015.
Wow.
My jaw dropped. I was like, wow, there's money to be made in this industry. Yeah. And at the time, I already had like 8 years working in a car dealership, and I was confident in making good money, but I was like, maybe this is the time. Maybe this is the opportunity I've been waiting. Jump off the boat, and then I just decided to dedicate to the clean business.
Yeah.
Takes off. It literally takes off. A very high demand industry, no experience, very low entry. So second year, I'm making money. But think about my first business, I'm like just killing it. So I'm like, wow, opening business is not that hard. And a friend of mine who was in the construction industry, he's like, hey, Chris, I fixed this restaurant in Seattle. The owner is actually struggling to pay me back. And he actually told me he wants to sell the restaurant. And I remember you used to work as a cook. So would you be interested in partnering up with me and open this restaurant? And for me, I thought it was like, oh, this is God telling me, here's another one. Take it.
Yeah.
I didn't think about the location, cost. I was just like inside me, I was like extra confident. And so I was like, there's no way I can fail this.
Yeah.
Got into the restaurant. That was I opened in 2016, January 2017. The restaurant it's paying its bills, but it's not making money. And I guess I now I have patience. Back in the day, I wanted to see like, oh, I wanted to be just making money already. So I'm presented with another opportunity where I used to buy the groceries and the meat. There's this big store where I will get the food. They're selling it on payments. And I'm like, this is it. I'm going to get that. I mean, but this time I don't have any funds now. I'm literally just grabbing my credit. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to grab the credit cards. I'm going to buy that business. And because I have now the supplies, the food, meat, everything, I can buy it all over cost, sell groceries here, and then take the meat from there to the restaurant as well at better cost. So for me, it sounded like a good idea in plain view. And I'm like, 3 businesses, this has to work. And didn't. It really just went downhill from there. Now I'm not making enough income to pay the bills. I have 25 people on payroll on the cleaning company, another 12 in the restaurant, and another 5 in the store. Right. And every day I would just go and red numbers here, red numbers. Just it was just very overwhelming. I remember. Oh yeah. So end up closing the store, sold the restaurant. Really just trespassed it. Like I remember for $20,000. Like just take it.
Just take it.
And then from there, I broke the 2 leases. So now I'm getting lost from the landlords and whatnot.
Right.
And it was very, very dark moment because for me, it was my 2 kids were about to go to college. So now I'm sitting at home, 38 years old. I don't have the energy that I had. I still have energy, but I don't have the same energy I had when I was 20. So I know I'm in a tough spot. No money left in the bank. Lawsuits. I had like a debt of about $250,000 in credit cards. I owe payroll taxes on all the businesses. amounting to 80,000. So it was really, really dark. I thought about going back to Mexico, like, forget about it. I don't want to know of anything. Think about moving to Canada, just nothing. But it was like, you know what? When I went to bankruptcy court, like, hey, we're gonna let you keep your business, the rest, the cleaning business. One, because there's no assets. We sell service. So
there's nothing they can take.
Nothing they can take. And I'm like, okay. And that's when I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna grab off of this one thing I have, and I'm just gonna put all my effort.
The one thing that's worked.
No more businesses. I'm just gonna put my head down and just optimize it and make it work.
Yeah.
Fast forward to pay the IRS, paid everything, got out of the bankruptcy. It was still, you're still in my record. You know, it's the fairly recent 2 more years, and it goes away. But it was really like a very learning lesson. At the time, I was very, very disappointed with myself and kind of like depressed. But then I was just telling my wife, like, looking back, like, wow, everything passes as long as you just keep working, just things get better. And have faith, right? I am a firm believer in God, so I truly believe that if you humble to Him and you ask for help, He shows you. He puts you the right people in front of you.
Yeah. What an incredible story. I mean, there's so many ways that we can take that, but I think just the overwhelming emotion, at least for me listening, I hope the listener probably feels the same way, is just, wow. You hear a lot of stories about the up and the down, and sometimes the down, which is what you experienced. And even myself, I've closed a business, hundreds of thousands of dollars gone, just when you're just like, whoa. And it's those moments that you said, you referenced it to your faith, having humility. But I think that, faith, being humble in order to have faith, yes. But those moments themselves will humble you as well if you let them. And so I think that that's how faith, at least for me, has kind of intertwined in those dark moments where it's like, man, am I good enough? Can I do this? You've got this level of success over here, but then this like tarnish, this black scar. Exactly. You know, so I think it's real. Number one, I guess my follow-up question to you, obviously we want to know some of the tacticals. What was a good decision inside of that journey right there that's led you to where you are? Because obviously you've held on, like you said, you kept going. You look back now and you've got 2 thriving businesses. What was one of those moments that you think, man, when I did this, it changed?
It's funny. When I started reaching out to coaches, people who already done what you want to do, in my country, Mexico, there's no such thing as coaching thing. It's actually quite the opposite. If someone is doing good, they will never share with you how they did it. So I was kind of used to that. Like, oh, nobody will actually share their secrets. Why would they, right? So I always thought I'll figure it out myself. I'll do research. I have a figure out mentality. I'll figure it out. I'll take my time. Sometimes if you don't pay an expert to tell you, you will pay it on time, regardless.
100%. You're paying it one way or the other.
And so I remember when I was like, I already didn't have the restaurant or the store. I only had, that's when the judge was like, I'll let you keep the company. And I'm like, this company keeps growing. It's very lean, low overhead. Let me reach out to people who are already doing this for years. So I started looking for Facebook groups, and I found a lady. She had a cleaning company in Colorado doing 2.5 million per year. And then she's like traveling. I start following her. Like, she's always in Greece, like in Paris, and I'm like, what?
Why is she doing that?
So I reach out to her, and she's like, hey, I pretty much, that's what I first heard about automation. Like, oh, I automate my business. I'm like, how? And she's like, oh, using email marketing. At the time, it was just email marketing and using software. At the time, she was using Infusionsoft. Now it's called Keep, I believe. And she had this crazy sequence for every lead that came in, and you will get nurtured. And I was just blown. I was never heard of those terms before. Not even at the dealership. They didn't have that. They didn't have nurture. Right. So I was like, I want that. So I paid her, and she really shared everything. She's like, this is what you do. This is how you convert recurring people. Focus on recurring customers because it starts accumulating. Do this, do that. I have her implemented some of the stuff because some of the stuff it just didn't apply to me.
Sure.
But I was like sold. I was like, wow, look at how big of a difference this small investment made. And this is a funny story. My wife, she charged me like $12,000. I was like, I'll charge you $12,000. So I grabbed it, and my wife's like, you're crazy. Here you go, I'll give you a year. And I'm like, no, trust me, this one is actually going to pay back very soon because it's specific for our business. Yeah. And I was right. From there, start nurturing people. So you start really seeing, not immediate, but you start seeing that now the numbers start climbing back up again. From there, I'm like, okay, what else can I do? And I start looking for software that will automate more things. Right? Just make it simpler. And we're really living a very cool era, which is new software's coming up every month.
Yeah.
And it's just see what's out there that you like. There's tons of software, right? But eventually you get familiar with one, you like them, stick with them, and then just become good at them. And so that was right. That was my thing, is just hiring a coach, listen, don't get distracted about anything else, and just do what they say. That's it. That's what I did.
Yeah, that's a coachable spirit, right? Like not only being willing to reach out, but then when you get the advice to actually implement it, even though you said not everything was applicable to you, that's okay. But I think that any successful person would agree with you that there was some point in time in their life where they said, all right, I gotta pay to play here. I need some answers. And I also love the perspective here. I want to point this out for the listener, because it's exactly why your coaching business, Seven Figure Cleaners, exists even currently, is for this reason. When you're on the way to seven figures, right? It's all about automation, maybe hiring a couple of people. It's marketing, it's sales, it's process, it's client fulfillment, it's understanding your finance. Like a lot of the things that we talk about even on the show, and those take you into the initial 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 or 5 million. That like super tactical, practical. And so like if you're listening right now and you're in that stage of the business, what you need is coaching. Is exactly what Chris just said. He said, I need to get the exact blueprint. And so if you're a cleaner, you join his group. If you're maybe a contractor, you join a contractor group. Or if you're in tech, you join a tech group or whatever. But the point is that you find a coach or a mentor or a group that can give you super tactical, like here's the exact that you need to do. And then beyond that, I'm curious now if you would agree with this. Once you get to that 7-figure mark, especially beyond the 3 million mark, it's no longer tactical. It's more high level think, building teams, key roles, more working on the business, leveraging resources, leveraging time, leveraging key relationships, right? Would you agree with that?
That's absolutely 100%. You hit it again right in the head, because once you get to that level of making 7 figures, when we reached it, it was this is funny story. It was right after COVID. So before COVID, we were like 700,000 a year. We're doing good. COVID hits, we actually pretty much stopped. But then it comes back around, and then we at the end of 2020, we did like 1.1 million. I'm like, this is really good. But then I'm like, okay, what else? I had still a lot of holes, even though I had automations, I had a way to get customers constantly. I still had things kind of all over. And that's when I heard about virtual assistants.
Yeah.
And I already heard the term before, but in my case, I was afraid because of the fact that we collect credit cards over the phone. So I was like, I don't know, what if something happens? And
there's liability there.
Yeah. And so, but I was at the time, like now, pretty much doing all the admin stuff, billing, answering phone calls, all this stuff. And I was getting tired. And this is true story. So whoever has a business, definitely work on this. I'm getting tired. We're making like we're 1.1, and I'm like, maybe it's time to sell the business, and maybe start getting into real estate or something like that. And I look for a business broker, and this business broker pretty cool. His name is Aaron. We had a lunch together, and I tell him, okay, so I'm looking to sell my cleaning business, and we're doing 1.1 million per year, so. For me, that number was like very important. That for them, like, oh, it's gonna give me that, or 1 point that, or whatever. Right. He's like, okay, so how do you get customer? How do you do that? So hey, pretty normal conversation. And it's like, so you have like your SOPs, everything. How do you have that? It's like, is it manuals? Is it digital? I'm like, you mean like don't have that? He's like, so how do you run it? And I'm like, well, you just kind of like orchestrate everything. Yeah. And he's like, well, that's a problem. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah. He's like, because essentially, if you want to sell it, you have to come with the business. Like nobody else knows how to run it. It's like you need SOPs. And I'm like, well, I have some. And I'm like, no, I'm talking like a something like from A to Z.
A machine.
Literally. It's like, as it sits right now, your business is pretty much worthless. Like, you got to be kidding me. And I'm like, nobody will want to buy this because only you know how to run it.
They would be buying your job. Right. And when someone buys a business, they're not looking to buy a job. They're looking to add a business to their portfolio.
That's right. So that was like, wow, let me go work on that. And I knew this is the funny story, though, because I knew it was important years before, but I always just kind of like whatever.
Don't have time. Busy.
Exactly. So that's when I'm like, okay, in order for me to do all that and still run the business, I need help. Gotta be had no experience whatsoever when it comes to a home service business, but she used to work in the banking, credit card sprouts and refunds. And so I'm like, oh, you used to deal with people and calm them down, work with them.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're hired. And then she brings, because she had like corporate skills. She's like, oh, Chris, we should start doing this. We should start doing that. And all of a sudden she's teaching me. And I'm like, wow.
Helping you build the business.
And then she's like, let me start doing everything. You look, every step that we do, let's just record. And we use Loom, pretty simple. I used to think like, oh, maybe we need a crazy software or Loom, $10 a month. And
just hit record.
Everything. And it's there. It's there. And then eventually there's nothing out of your head. You can hire people and then they can see it. Oh God. When that happened, that was when I truly felt like I passed this threshold. Not only did I was able to put the SOPs, everything together, it allowed me to step out of it, because remember, I was still doing everything. Now I have a VA that does everything for me. And I'm like, oh, wow, I should have done that a long time ago. And I was on my own way. And I was like, it's crazy. And so, and then and when you put SOPs into it, that's when you start. Now we're reaching like 1.6 million. So that's what we did last year, 1.6 total. And so it just everything kind of falls into place.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. First off, I mean, to do 1.6, first off, less than 9% of all businesses do $1 million or more in revenue, right? That's why we have this show kind of crux on 7 figures and above. But to do it in cleaning services, like, I just want to just like highlight that for a half second, because I'm pretty familiar with home services. I even was on the marketing side of home services for a very, very long time. And the cleaning business specifically, I mean, first off, there's a dime a dozen. Anybody can go grab a bucket and a mop and some soap. So you have competitors everywhere. So building a brand and building a business in that industry hardly doesn't exist. I mean, you've got some of the big franchise names and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's Aunt Susie or Uncle Joe. And
that's right.
And so for you to be able to do that, I just want to kind of just give you a second of a limelight there. It's pretty incredible. So in the midst of all that, though, I want to know, is there a skill set, or maybe I didn't say that right, a habit, maybe a characteristic trait that you have looking back in your journey that you've already shared with us that unexpectedly kept you from success?
I have the answer. It's the sales skill. Okay. When I was a person, we all sell. This is something I learned. Like, we all sell. But when you tell someone like, oh, you have to sell there, you go like, what? Like, it's selling is not really. This is what I also learned at the dealership. Like, it's really not convincing anyone. It's just more persuading in a decision that they already have. Right? Yeah. That's what you're doing. And when I saw that, I was like, I was afraid. Like, I was asked. I went to that dealership asking for a job, and I was thinking washing cars, car lot boy, or maybe service department. And when the guy's like, you speak Spanish, I'm like, oh. He's like, well, we want a salesman. I'm like, hold on, Tiger. I don't know. It just sounded intimidating. Right. I'm glad I jumped in, because it's not even that hard. It's just meeting people. You have to become a good listener. If you listen, then you can answer them, and they feel trust. You connect, you feel trust, you have that trust, you establish the trust, and the sale comes. That's it. And so for me, it was, I guess I should have done, or I guess start doing more like into sales longer before, because I was just stuck in a job that never pushed me to do that or meet people. I was very enclosed.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I think there's a lot of, on a personality assessment, it would be like a craftsman, not necessarily someone who crafts things like a tradesman per se, but although that still applies, this personality, like you described, is very like linear. Like, I'm good at this one thing. I don't want to mess with the sales, and I don't want to talk to people, and I'm just good at this. In this case, cleaning, or whatever the service or product is. But man, those skill sets you just talked about around sales and communication. Yeah, you got to sell and communicate with clients in order to grow, but what about your team? You got to be able to communicate and lead people there, and you got to sell them on the vision. You got to sell them on the next move, and you got to sell them on increasing your prices, because the value that you have on the back end is worth it. You're selling all the time, to your point.
Is absolutely correct. Yes, even your team needs to be all on the same page. This is also I learned about creating a company culture. And the dealership when I work in, they didn't have a company culture. It was like everybody just up for themselves. So when I had my business, like as long as you just pay them, they should be fine. No, I had a huge churn. Like people just come and go, come and go, come and go. And that hinders your growth. You're constantly hiring new people who want experience, and that stops you. It wasn't until I started like doing this once a month. Let's get together. Let's go bowling. Let's go and have a carne asada together when it's summer, right? These things bring your family. People want to feel part of something, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Vision. You treat them well. You celebrate their wins. Nobody has left after that. Really, it was person with me. There's actually people want to work, like, I want to work with you. And that's what you want, attract people who want to work with you. And it's all about culture.
Yeah, it's a king mindset, right? Like we on this show, we talk about this transition from warrior to king quite a bit, but this mindset that you just described of changing the focus to transactional and just getting what you want, or kind of just getting the deal done, or getting to the next level, just very transactional, is that we have to go to a place in our thinking where we serve, right? And it's not about me anymore. It's about them, and it's about their family, and it's about me curating an environment where they want to be and where they want their family to be. Because then ultimately what that does is it solves my hiring problem. It solves my bad experience, bad reviews with my client problem, or whatever it is on the backside, because I've taken good care of my people. But the mindset has to change first. It has to be servitude. It has to be, as a king, I don't just demand, I'm serving, right? And that seems backwards sometimes, but I think it's becoming more and more widely accepted. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, 100%. You have to be able to give, really be share, and then be open. Like again, if you become a good listener, you'll go very far. A lot of people just really talk, but they don't like, and then they're very hardcore, like hard headed, and they don't listen. Like if you listen, and then you'll understand how people attitudes and whatnot, and you become a people person. Like you know how to talk to each different person. So you have to be a good listener. So yeah.
All right. Well, inside of this cleaning business and or coaching business, I want you to think about both for a second. And I want you to tell me what the most important trackable number is, the KPI, the one thing that if you could only track one forever and ever, what would it be for you?
Well, if I talk about my business or like cleaning business or any home service, I guess the one KPI that I always have at the top is just the recurring customers, right? That's something. The more recurring customer, that means more money, that long-term value. And we track everything. We do one time service jobs, one time cleanings, recurring Airbnb, office cleaning. And for me, the bread and butter has always been the recurring customer, right? They just pay you, and then they're happy with the service. They don't, and that little by little, this is crazy. You don't need to have thousands of customers to have $1 million company. In our case, cleaning industry, the average ticket price is $220 average. That's for every home. If you get 220 people to buy service every 2 weeks, you have your $1 million. So when you see it, I was like, anybody can get 220 people. Anybody can do it. It takes a little bit of time, but with the software that's out there, the marketing channel that we now have that we didn't have before, you can get there very easy.
Yeah. I love the goal, but then also just the reverse engineer. I do the same thing with all of my targets. And I think people just need to hear that sometimes. There's people that I've followed for years that kind of break that down and you go, okay, well, what's $1 million? Well, it's $1 million one time. It's 83,000 a month. You can, however you want to break it up.
It just makes it so like, no, like, oh, it's like $1 million. Just something like, there's no way I want to be able to reach that. Yes, you can. All you just need to do is break it down and then see what you need to do. So very achievable.
Yeah, I love that. What book would you recommend, Chris, for a business owner trying to grow?
Oh, the very last one I read is 100 Million Offers by Hormozi. I've read other books, right, that they're pretty good when it comes to marketing, right? Yeah. And but that book, the way he explains it, I think he applies for any business. Yeah. So for me, that will be the number one for now.
Yeah, it's an incredible book. I've gone through it a couple of times, and the last time I went through it, I was a little bit more detailed and actually followed it along. Yeah. It's funny, one of the coaches that I spent a lot of money with is friends with him, and I've tried to get that joker somewhere near me, pay to have a lunch, speak at an event, but he, from what I understand, he's pretty much cut off all that, and he's focused on growing his portfolio. And And maybe one day I'll be able to grab his attention. So
yeah. No, he's pretty smart dude. And the way he put it into the book, I enjoyed it. I was like, that's very actionable. You can do that. And so, yeah, I think that is a must have. And then I think the other one will be the compound that really applies to, what I said, use little changes, 1% better every day.
Yeah.
Keep doing it, right? And I think that one for any business owner is compounds over time.
It does.
1%
Yeah, it's like you said, the purposeful. I love that word that you just used. I was thinking actually about this morning when I was working out. And it's like a lot of times entrepreneurs, kind of similar to what you did. We get our business up to a certain amount, 500K, $1 million, 2 million. And we go, you know what? I think I'm done. I've run the race. And really all it is that we've just gotten bored with the current process or the current thing. And we're a little bit hop, skipping and jumping and trying to figure out what the next shiny object is. And I can relate to that, but I guess the solution for me in the moment I was thinking about it this morning while I was working out, actually, it was, man, if I build something sustainable, right? And these are some of the words that I've started to use over the last probably 4 or 5 years of just, I don't want to just all of a sudden, right? Like I was thinking, I bought my first business when I was 24. I had 7 locations by the age of 29. I went from 0 to 5 million in about 3.5 years and 65 employees. And it's like, wow, I could have a shining star next to my name any which way you want to shine it. But it's like, as shiny as that is and as cool as that sounds, there was a bunch of stuff in that was like really painful. And so when I think about building something sustainable, one that's going to be around forever, and it doesn't stop at 5 million, it stops maybe at 50 or 150 or 500. I don't know. Like it's just another layer to think, in my opinion, the sustainable and something like that doesn't happen overnight. It's something that you build on over and day in and week out and month in and year out. And so I just love what you're saying here. The purposefulness of that. It's also like a stick-to-itiveness. Like, no, like this is what I want. I'm going to think bigger and I'm just going to like methodically just continue just to boom, boom, boom. I'm going to go after it. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's, I guess for me, it was really what made the difference. Like I could just walk away and say like, let's go back and I'll get a job and forget about all these.
You leave the country.
But no, I was like, I'm going to reach out to experts. I'm going to apply what they tell me. I'm going to shut up and listen, and then I'm just going to do. And I just keep working on that. And then when you look back, you're like, wow, such a big difference.
Yeah. Great perspective. What do you think about intentionally networking or masterminding with other entrepreneurs?
Oh, I love it. I think everybody should do that. It's funny. I don't know if the new generation, they're very socially shy. My kids are shy. I'm like, I'm not shy, whatever. Like they see me, like I talk to when we go to the mall, everybody knows me, like, hey, and I'm like everybody knows, like it's good. It's like you need to connect. You don't never know who's gonna help you to get to the next level. You don't.
That's right.
You keep to yourself always. You're never gonna meet anyone. And but it's not. I don't know. Like just like a kid's like, no, I'd rather just shut up. But I'm like, I don't know. I think it's important to do networking. You meet new people. You meet new cultures, you understand better everything, and then the opportunities are out there. I don't remember what I heard this, but it's like somebody else out there has your millions. You just got to find it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, even if it's in a collaboration. Like I've had a lot of people ask me about the show here. It's like, well, how do you monetize your show? I'm like, I don't, I guess. I mean, like, let's be honest. Like, I feel like we add a ton of value. And so I've had lots of deals and even clients, mastermind clients that have come from guests, right? They're like, hey man, this is really, I want to be part of this. But I get to meet cool people. Like it was the networking thought or the, I need to build relationships thought initially. I want to help entrepreneurs thought. And so I want to echo what you're saying for the listener here is that it doesn't have to be a podcast. It doesn't have to be a networking event, but somehow, some way you got to start shaking hands, introducing yourself, because that's how deals get done, or that's how relationships get formed. That's how new opportunities come, to your point. And, or maybe not even new opportunities, just a new client for your current business that you're super dialed in on and focused. That's how you grow a brand is that you open yourself up to be able to serve other people. And so you can't do that if you're, like you said, tucked in and by yourself, right?
That's correct. Yeah. You gotta meet people. And I think I don't know. For me, it's just like part of the human nature. Just that's what we're in groups, and we like to be close to other people, and so it's just part of our nature.
Yeah, Atomic Habits. James Clear, he talks about this as far as like joining a group, And he specifically says you join a group of people who are like you, who have the habit that you desire. So the habit of the group, the collective, is what you desire. And so when you step into that identity, that group identity, especially if there's someone like you, like, for example, your coaching group, you help cleaning companies. So if I'm a cleaning company and I'm going to join this coaching program where other people are like me and they have skill sets or habits or disciplines that I desire, now my personal identity that I desire has now been brought in or morphed into a group identity. Same thing for Gathering the Kings. Whether you're a 7 or 8 figure business owner and you're out there, it's like you're a lone wolf. You've been doing the thing. You've been grinding down the way. Like, you have connections and relationships, but no one that you can really like talk business with, like really, really strategize and go deep with. Right.
That is correct.
And I'm taking your smile as a like, yep. Because I've been there. We've all been there. And so when you join a group of people that are like you, and then have the same mindset of like, I want to go to the next level, and I don't know exactly what you're going to give to me, but I'm going to bring my best. I know freaking John's going to bring his best. Matt's going to bring the next level, and freaking all of us together. It's just like, man, if it doesn't go up, I don't know where it's going.
That's right. No, you hit it up right in the head. Just meet other people that want, like, you have something in common to talk with. Businesses. What can you offer to the group, and then also help each other? Really, just this is where the ideas form, and then the businesses are born.
Yeah. I want to give an encouragement to the listener who is maybe heard about your coaching program and they need to join it because they're a cleaner, or if they are looking for a coach like you suggested to them earlier. I want to give them one last little piece there from Atomic Habits, because it's the last little piece that he talks about when it comes to groups. And that is, even once you've achieved the habit that you desire, you stay in the group because it's the best way, the tribe effect, to keep it, to make it a lifestyle, to then help other people be able to do the same thing, which is exactly what you're doing with the coaching program even, and which is king mindset. It's eventually you mature in a way to where, yeah, you get value for sure. But a lot of the value that we get as kings is how we give. It's not advice that someone tactically gave to me. It's how do I pour out and actually help another person, which then gives me more than probably I could have gotten from like quote unquote advice. Would you agree with that?
100%. You're right.
Spot on. Good. I love it. One last question here for you. Actually, I got a couple. One question about family. Gathering the Kings is on this new journey here with, okay, we're hard after our business and we're high performers, like I just explained. But like, I'm also a dad, I'm also a husband or a spouse. And so it's like these dynamics, it's not one or the other, or they're a balance of the two. Like, I want to go hard after both of them. So tell us, how have you done that? How have you gone hard after marriage, family, and the business at the same time?
Yeah, it's certainly a little bit of a challenge, because a lot of times the work or the company actually sucks you in a lot of your time. Yeah. And then it's like your family, just your kids, they're not getting the time that they need. And for me, it was like, you know what? I need to find a balance. And the restaurant, out of that, bad business, what we end up is actually working on our time as a family. So for example, every Sunday in the morning, hey, so we let the kids say, what do you guys want to go next week or whatever? So we let them choose. Hey, even though we're busy, you guys also have decisions at home. Where would you like to go? And then Sunday's just family day. It's just nothing job. We don't talk about jobs or anything. It's just family. And then we let our kids also share what they want. They have something. For me, that's what's been the difference, just being able to also listen to them. When we had the restaurant, we had the clean business, it was just a lot of things going on and we didn't have time. And so we just work. Got rid of that. I'm like, no, that was not the way to do things. Let's have also family time. We go Sunday, go to church, come back, we have breakfast, then we go hiking. We just always do something together. And so that's how I handle it. It's just one day dedicated for them, and then just listen to them.
Yeah. I love the listening aspect, especially since you've got some older kids, us young adults really, but they become their own, and it's no longer parent, like a dominating force, but more of a guide. And you can't do that very well if you're not listening.
No. And so, you'll see kids, they all have their own different worlds of how they see the world. And, but you tell one, you might not resonate with the other one. So yeah, you got to be able to listen and see what you need to do.
There's work there for sure. Chris, I got one last question here for you. If you could whisper in the younger Cristobal's ear, what would you say?
Learn English. Oh God. Yes. This is funny story though. When I first moved here, I was not expecting to stay here in the US. So
Okay.
I had recently married my wife, and I was 21, and she also was 21. And I moved here thinking, oh, I'm just gonna work 2 years, make enough money, go back so I can finish school.
Yeah.
And because of that mentality, I don't even want to learn the English. I'm just gonna.
Right. I'm in and out.
That's it. Well, that 2 years turned into 4, and then 5, and then 6, and all these years, no English whatsoever. I was limiting myself a lot, like a lot. And that's when I'm like, I need to learn it. I really need to learn it. And so when like just 1 hour a day in college, and then watching movies with English subtitles all the time. And when I started feeling confident, right, and I got to the opportunity of selling cars, and I was able to speak both, I was like, dude, what was I doing?
What have I been doing?
Yes. So I'll say learn English as soon as you get whatever country where you're moving to here or whatever country. Yeah. Just if you explain, learn the culture, embrace it, and that just opens doors for everyone. In my case, I would say go back, definitely learn English.
Yeah, I think that I guess the deeper principle is to not be stubborn, to operate at the maximum potential that you can. I'm going to flip that answer that you gave to me on its head for just a half second, because obviously in America, yeah, we speak English, but Spanish is very close second. Yeah. And so would you recommend that if someone's listening today and they've been like thinking about learning Spanish, would you say it's just as powerful?
Absolutely. Yes. On the other side of the coin, if you speak Spanish, you have so much more opportunities out there. As far as like, if you want to find employees, there's a bigger pool for you. You actually your customers out there, right? If you're gonna sell a product, if you speak both, it just doubles. Really, it's just the Spanish are the second, like the biggest minority, or second biggest minority, or something like that. But it's growing every year. It's just growing, more people. So I think Spanish is a skill everybody should learn now. Yeah. It just doesn't hurt. And it certainly, when traveling other countries, South America, it certainly helps you. You get to enjoy better.
That's right. Well, I'm gonna dig deep to my my 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade years where I was Carlos in the classroom. Okay. Okay. And Senora del Porto in Columbia, Missouri, taught Carlos how to speak Spanish. Well, maybe not very much, but I appreciate you giving me that perspective. It's real. It's real. Let's just be honest. So I think that what we're really talking about is adding value, not only to ourselves, but those that are around us. And when we add skill sets like that, it does literally nothing but add value. And so I appreciate your perspective. I want to know, how can the listener find you? So number one, if they're just a business owner, they want to reach out, pick your brain. Maybe they're a cleaning business specifically, and they need coaching. How can they find you?
Absolutely. So they can go to 7figurecleaners.com. They can book a call with me to just a demo. I don't give hard sell speeches to anyone. If anything, I just want to listen to what the situation is. And I show them what the program looks like. And if they want to be part of it, they can make the decision. So 7figurecleaners.com, or they can also find me at cristobalmondragon.com.
Love it. And I'm sure that we'll put all those in the show notes as well, but I'm sure that people will take you up on that to be able to connect. And because, man, you've got an incredible story and some moments where you've been able to claw out. And so I just appreciate you being here. I appreciate your time, your willingness to serve, your king mindset, and blessings on your team, your family, your business for all of 23. Thank you for being here.
Chaz, same as you, my friend. God bless you and family. And then thank you for having me. I really enjoyed today's talk.
Awesome. Thank you for listening to Gathering the Kings today. I hope that you were able to pull out a few nuggets to go apply into your business right away. More importantly, though, I hope that you're realizing that it takes more to be successful than just being by yourself, doing it all on your own, carrying the weight all by yourself. What I have realized, not only in my own journey from multiple businesses and multiple different industries, and now interviewing literally over 200 or 300 other very successful 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners, is that it's tough to do it alone. And so Gathering the Kings literally exists to bring together successful entrepreneurs. In fact, we are putting together 1,000 kings, specifically who are grateful but not done. We're intentionally assembling kings who fight tooth and nail for their business, family, and communities. And here's what we believe, that in the pursuit of excellence in those areas, that it ignites within us the responsibility to govern power and forge a lasting legacy. So if that relates and resonates with you, and you know that you need people around you, sharp, qualified, other very successful business owners, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com. I want you to take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for you to be part of our pursuit to 1,000 kings. Talk soon.